Okay.
7 o'clock, we'll start pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Roll call, please.
Fuller. Here. Costa.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Coffee. Here. Shoemaker.
Here.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to excuse the need for tonight's meeting?
So moved. Second. Fuller. Aye. Coffee. Aye. Shoemaker.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Costa.
Aye.
Thank you. Do we have Mr. Hartle here? You like to address council?
Thank you very much. I'm Dale Hartle, the President of Ohio Regional Development Office, and we do work for both the village of Millersburg and Holmes County Commissioners. Primarily the grants come through the Holmes County Commissioners because of the size of the village here. I'm here tonight to talk very briefly because you have a full agenda, I'm sure, about fair housing. But before I do that, I want to give you a little brief update on the Community Housing Improvement Program that is finishing up, will finish up a year from right now. It's been in progress for a year and it will finish up in a year. There were 4 units planned to be done, to complete units to be rehabbed, and 2 of them are completed and 2 of them are in the process of work being done right now. So we have a year left to do those in, and they're already underway. So that is working along very well. For an owner rehab, we can spend up to around $50,000 to $60,000 on the house. When we go in and look at that house and work on it, the state says we have to fix it entirely. All of the things that are safety issues. And so that's why they cost so much. Back just not very many years ago, the cost that we would spend on a house was about $25,000 to $30,000. The cost, I'm sure you folks know, the cost of materials has gone up tremendously in the past couple of years alone. The state has upped their limits a couple of times during the last couple of years just because of the prices of 2x4s, plywood, shingles, and everything else. So we're not able to do as many jobs as we used to do simply because the cost of the materials are the same and the grant that comes is still about the same. And so there were 4 units planned, 2 are done, 2 will be done this year, the other 2. Home repairs are a different story. We can spend up to about $15,000 on a home repair, and with a home repair, we can go in there and just do 1 or 2 items that need to be done to fix a problem that they have. We don't have to do the entire house if we do that, such as a furnace, hot water tank, an electrical upgrade, plumbing issues, hot water tank. I guess I mentioned that. And so there were 7 units planned to do according to the grant that was written for Holmes County. There were 7 units planned to do, and quite often we're able to squeeze the money enough that we can do 1 or 2 more. So we have already completed 3. There are 2 in process. That makes 5. There's 1 pending already on a bid. A bid tour is going on, and there's another one that's being written up to do. So we will probably do at least 7, and we may do 8 before it's all done. Could be even 9. So the grant is coming along very well. New construction, which is Habitat. I want to commend Holmes County that you have an excellent habitat organization here in this county. We work in a lot of different cities and counties, and very few of them have the organization that you do here to do habitat. So we have planned to do 2 units. 1 is completed already, and another $30,000 has been committed toward another new home as well. And so there will be 2 brand new Habitat homes in the county, when that's all done. So it's been a real good process. I met with the county commissioners here a week ago, 10 days ago, something like that. When was I there? Were you there when I was there?
You must have been there on a Thursday.
Alright, but in just recent weeks, I was there, and they are planning to apply for another grant. The application goes in June this year, and we will not know if it's funded until probably November, maybe December, but we've always had a very successful record of getting funded here in Holmes County. I don't think we've ever not been funded when we've done the work for the county for a number of years. So that's the status of the CHIP grant. In addition to that, we're doing work on some water lines out in the county. I'm not sure if any of them, I have a staff person that was not able to be here tonight, and she handles all of those things, but she's working on a water sewer project for the county as well, and that's coming along. There was going to be a bid opening, I think, today, and one of the people was sick and they couldn't do that, so it's next week now. But that is coming along very well. So I've passed out not only my card, but some brochures to all of you there. And the brochures are about 2 different things: fair housing and tenant landlord issues. And when the federal government gives money to a county, to a city, whomever it may be, they put some attachments to that. I think you all know that, if life goes that way. And so one of the things that they say is that we have to go out across the county and the city and talk about fair housing. Because fair housing is an issue that's very important on the minds of our federal legislators as well as the state of Ohio. And so I'm going to very briefly talk to you about what fair housing is. Some of you probably heard me speak before. But fair housing relates to the fair and equal treatment of people as they seek to obtain housing in a variety of settings. There are 7 classes of people that you cannot discriminate against they are protected by the fair housing laws. You cannot discriminate against a person that falls into one of those 7 protected classes as they seek to either buy housing, rent housing, get loans for housing, or in the process of purchasing a home, or even as a realtor. You cannot discriminate against one of the 7 classes of people. The 7 federally protected classes are that you cannot discriminate against a person because of their race, their religion, the color of their skin, their national origin, their sex, familial status, and disability. Those protections are guaranteed by federal law. And a number of years ago, Ohio passed laws that mirrored the federal law. And so, as if federal law wasn't enough, the state of Ohio passed laws that said those cannot be discriminated against either. In 2008, the state of Ohio came along and they added 1 additional protected class. I named 7 for you, but the state of Ohio came along and said you cannot discriminate against someone because they are a veteran. And I think that's a marvelous idea. I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm not sure of all the reason why that may be, but my suspicion is that veterans get sometimes, depending on their status as a veteran, may get called up for active duty. And if it's a bank lending money or a landlord thinking about renting to them, they don't want them to be off to war and not paying the rent. And so the state of Ohio has come along and said, just because they're a veteran, you cannot discriminate against them. So I think that those are all good things. And so the fair housing legislation began in 1866. It was a civil rights law. Approximately 100 years later, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Law was passed, which added a few things to the law. In 1988, it was amended to provide more provisions, and so on. It has gone down through the years. We've worked here in this county for a long time. On our brochures is our phone number. And so if there's a complaint, if someone calls in and says, I think that I've been discriminated against. First of all, we're not attorneys, so we don't take up actions against someone, but we refer them to the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. They are the agency in the state who investigates and so forth. Before we ever turn that complaint over, though, we ask a few questions to try to determine if it does meet some standards of discrimination. So the first question we ask is, they will call and say, we're being discriminated against, we're being evicted from our home. And so the first question is, have you paid your rent lately? Well, no, I'm about 4 months behind on my rent. That is not a fair housing issue, you know. That's a tenant-landlord issue. And when it really boils down to it, you know, most issues that we get, to my knowledge, and I've done this for a long, long time, to my knowledge, we've never had a real fair housing complaint from Holmes County or the village of Millersburg. You know, you have very, very good people there. There are some parts of the state we have had them, but it's not here. So the issues that we primarily get are tenant-landlord issues, and that's why I gave you the second brochure. And I'm going to leave the others that I have with the clerk here. I assume you're the clerk, is that correct? But I'll leave the rest of these brochures, and if you need more anytime, we'll be glad to provide them for you. But the bulk of the issues that ever come before us are tenant-landlord issues. Landlords not fixing my toilet that runs all the time. Kitchen sink won't drain, and various things of that nature. None of those are fair housing issues. And so there are attorneys who deal with as advocates for people that cannot afford attorneys. Probably, I'm not sure, but I think there's one of those agencies listed in here, but if not, we can get one if you ever need one. But the bulk of the issues that you see and hear are tenant-landlord issues. So, needed to stop by and talk to you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I know some of you have heard my speech. I give different issues. I have a lot of issues or things that I could tell you about, but at any rate, thanks for allowing me to be here tonight. And we work on your behalf for some water and sewer projects and whatever it may be. So we do CDBG work, Community Development Block Grant as well. So, do you have any questions for me?
I have one. What's the qualifications for somebody to get, like, remodeling, or what's?
You know, that's an excellent question. And I tell you what, if you will give me your name and phone number, I'll call you back with it.
Okay.
I
I just go by Bob Shoemaker.
What is it?
Shoemaker, right here.
Robert Shoemaker, okay. What is your phone number?
330-473-7715.
Yes. The reason I don't know it off my top of my head, and I normally bring that with me, but every county, believe it or not, is different, or nearly every county. So your level of income here is different than Coshocton County, or Wayne County, or another one on the other side. So I don't bring them all with me, you know. Shoemaker. But I'll give you a good estimate, but I will call you tomorrow. For one person in the household, they can probably make $35,000. Two people, upwards to 38 or more. The list goes on up. if it's higher. So I have a space, my staff works in the courthouse over here. I have a staff person that's up here every week. If you know someone that would like to meet with my staff person, or if they're an invalid and need someone to come to their house to meet with them about a grant, my phone number's on there, my office phone number's on there as well. Call us, and I have a lady that's up here every week, and she does work out of the courthouse. Takes applications, works with the client, helps them through the process if they need help filling the application out, and so on. So if you know anyone, please call my office, and we'll be glad to work with them. Mayor, thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? I'm gonna take this. Do you need a copy of this? This is a sign-in sheet. Okay. I just remained.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There, how's it on the front? Thank you.
May we have a motion to suspend the reading of the minutes?
So moved.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Poland. Bond. Con.
Aye.
Coffee. Aye. Shoemaker.
Aye.
Additions or corrections? We have a motion passed.
Second, Con.
Bond.
Aye.
Con.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Coffee. Aye. Hofstadter.
Aye.
Poland.
Excuse me. 2022-08, relinquishment of the bills. We have a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Coffee. Aye. Shoemaker.
Aye.
Poland. Hofstadter.
Aye.
Bond. Con.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
I sent out the annual report, you guys should have got that in your packets. And also Caleb Cox's probation ended on the 24th of March, I think it was last Thursday, I don't remember which day of the week. So I need council to move him from probation to full-time. He's doing fine, no problems, he's working 40 hours in here and attending the academy too, so he's doing good. That's all I really have.
Motion for that? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Coffee. Aye. Shoemaker.
Aye.
Bond.
Aye.
Con.
Aye.
Poland. Hofstadter.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the administrator's report. Planning and zoning will meet on April 6th to consider a lot split request from Salt Creek Properties, as well as final site plan review for B&L Transport Facility. Resurfacing sidewalks, the resurfacing bid opening is slated for April 1st. ODOT TAP project, no update. The right-of-way consultant is still preparing documents for right-of-way acquisition. No updates on the ARP projects, engineering still in the works. No updates on the demolition of the two houses on 241 yet. Have not heard back from the company doing the audiovisual workforce. The dump trucks, they're reviewing upfitting options, bed, salt spreader, box, plow, that will allow us to stay in line with the funds appropriated. I know he got another bid in, it came in very high, so that's why he's still reviewing those. ODOT salt contract, we have first reading the annual resolution allowing us to participate in the ODOT cooperative road salt program, and we anticipate ordering 250 tons this upcoming season. We anticipating a rough winter. And then Muhlenberg Brewing has requested permission to place a food truck in the on-street parking in front of the brewery Saturday, May 7th.
Chief, have we had any issues when they've done that in the past?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'll make a motion to approve that request. Second, Con.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Con.
Aye.
Poland.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Hockney.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Thank you. The Berlin Christian Fellowship is requesting the use of Airport Park on April 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. for Easter egg hunt.
So moved.
Second.
Poland. Aye. Vaughn.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Hockney.
Aye.
Con.
Aye.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Thank you. Karen?
Nothing, thank you.
Bob? Okay, moving on. Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture a special day be set aside for planting trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce excuse me, the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-saving oxygen, provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Therefore, I, Jeff Huebner, Mayor of the Village of Millersburg, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the Village of Millersburg. I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees that gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. And I believe Tree City has an Arbor Day thing planned at the school for children again, correct?
Correct.
Legislation. First reading of resolution 2022-09 by title only. A resolution authorizing participation of ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2022. Any questions? Any old business? New business? Committee reports? Executive session? Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.